Hi, this is Cassandra here for an uplifting moment addressing the fear associated with getting married. And so I think that there really is a valid fear for a lot of individuals who may be fearful of getting married. And especially for millennials, there is a rationale based on the fact that a lot of individuals haven't seen successful marriages, or maybe they haven't even seen marriage in their family, or they haven't, or they've experienced their parents going through multiple marriages that maybe did not work. And so, fear essentially is this distressful emotion that is aroused from this sense of impending danger or pain. And when you think about what people have been exposed to, they may see marriage as a dangerous feat, or there could be a pain associated with it. However, I hope that through this uplifting moment that you will find some encouragement with regard to addressing any fear that you may have related to getting married. Because essentially, how we are looking to that generation that went before us to provide those examples, I think that we even have to be accountable to that next generation who is looking to us to provide those examples of what it means to be in a healthy relationship, what it means to have a healthy marriage, because essentially the pool is getting smaller. So I think that is coming from, that fear is actually coming from really a noble place, because there's a lot of reverence and there's a lot of honor for marriage, and people highly esteem marriage. And so they say, I don't want to walk into it if it's going to end, or if it's going to dissolve, or if it's going to cause pain for myself and others. But one thing I would say is that when we're thinking about that next generation that's coming after us, I don't want fear to hold us back, because they'll say, well, what about you? I wanted you to provide an example for me, and so I want us to be equipped with what's needed to address that fear. And I think that there's a remedy. So there's a remedy for addressing that fear. And so I have like 3 little points about ways in which you can address the fear related to marriage. And one, that it's associated with this idea that I don't have any example, so I don't know how. I don't know how to walk out a successful marriage. And so the beautiful thing about in today's age is that there's so much information on how to have a healthy relationship. So, you have to first educate yourself. So just like when individuals go through school. Maybe your parents didn't get a master's degree, but you educated yourself and you gained the knowledge that was needed for that end goal. And so the same would be for a healthy relationship and marriage. Healthy communication, that's a skill that you can develop. So you can acquire knowledge, you can develop that skill. And that's the beautiful thing about skills, is that skills can be developed. Conflict management, that's a skill that you can be developed, that can be developed rather. So there's access to information online. They even have in-person classes that you can take. So the information is boundless. And so the second piece I would say would be addressing that sense of hopelessness. You have to create a sense of hope when it comes to marriage. And even if you don't have that hope in your family, or even in your immediate community, what you can do is you can access online communities that are dedicated to healthy relationships and marriage. Or you can find a mentor couple, seek out a mentor couple that you admire, and you can surround yourself with the hope that exists within their marriage. And then lastly, which I would say is probably the most important piece to addressing the fear related to marriage, and I would say that would be love. Because love conquers all. And I think that when we think about love, oftentimes we think about the romantic piece of love, and that romantic side is so important, and I love it. However, we must have a comprehensive view on what love truly is. And Sternberg, he came up with this model, and he talked about these 3 different components of love. One being that romantic eros love, one being the friendship piece. You know, you look at those couples who've been married for 50, 60 years, they have a strong attachment and friendship. And lastly, I would say this is the anchor. And this anchor would be what can really help you to address that fear or that idea that there may be impending pain associated with marriage. And I would say it's commitment. Now, commitment to the process, commitment regardless of the seasons, commitment to the end goal. And the more commitment you have, you know, it's the danger of the dissolution that will begin to wane. And so I would say that that would serve as your anchor when it comes to addressing the fear related to walking into a marriage. So those are just my 3 points on things that could be helpful in addressing the fear related to marriage. And I will just leave you with this, is that your relationships matter. Granted, marriage is not for everyone, but what we do relationally is going to affect the next generation. And I hope that whatever you decide to do with your relationship life, and if you walk into marriage, that it will be a positive legacy for children who will come along in your lineage, even if you don't birth them physically, but thinking about even the generations in which you won't even see beyond your great-grandchildren, beyond your grandchildren, leaving that legacy, leaving an example of what is possible. So your relationships matter, and I hope that this was an uplifting moment when it comes to addressing your fears related to marriage.